The first thing that comes with change is courage. Like change usually is something that people avoid. The key thing in you building your career is that you're developing, you're learning, you're progressing. The year 2014, when I joined Visa, I was looking at it like this whole side of the industry is going to boom. It's going to be huge. Digital payments is the next big thing.
Welcome to The Change Officer, the podcast where we discuss changes with people who did a lot of changes. And my next guest could be the change officer, because in his life he did so many changes, from construction to IT, from IT to digital marketing, then from digital marketing to fintech. And I messed up something, I'm sure. Hadi, welcome to the Change Officer podcast.
Thank you, Ivan.
I really try to learn your journey through the changes, but let's start from the beginning. Usually we ask the guests of this podcast to tell us, when you hear the word change, what do you think about? What is the first thing that pops up to your mind? The change.
Good question. I think the first thing that comes with change is courage. Like change usually is something that people avoid in many cases. Like they like going smoothly, but change create that disruption. So it needs courage. So I think change comes with courage.
Okay, so you are a very brave person, I would say. And yes, people usually tend to live in a comfort zones where everything is nice and, as you say, it's smooth. But your life was not like that, and your life is not like that. Even now, as we speak, you are going through a big change, I would say. But we'll come to that. So let's start from the beginning. You were in construction.
Yeah, I wasn't in construction, but in a construction company, I would say. So that's where I started. I graduated as a telecom engineer, computer and communication engineer from American University of Beirut. And the first real job that I got was in the IT department of a global construction company in Athens, Greece. Consolidated Contractors Company. So that was where I started. That's why it's a construction company. I'm not into construction myself, but it's the IT department over there.
Construction.
Yeah. So I went there. I had very exciting times in Athens. Yeah. I'm Lebanese, by the way, based in Beirut. But I went to Greece. That was, we're speaking back in the towards the mid 90s, right? So at that time, Ivan, there was no internet. There was no mobile phones. Basically, when I had to communicate back home or with my friends, it was about either a telephone call or letters.
Snail mail.
Yeah, mail, exactly. So you wait for the mail until you get a letter.
How old are you there? How old were you there?
I was 19, 18, yeah.
18, 19,
First,
yeah.
I felt 18. I
but
graduated.
That's the big change. You graduated?
Sorry, I was 18 from school, so that was 21. Yeah,
so
sorry.
21 years old, and you are moving away from your country.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the big change. Can you remember what was the feelings you had?
Yeah, it was the first time for me to go outside home. It wasn't easy from that perspective, but at the same time, it has its excitement. So what I told you is that change needs courage, but at the same time, change has excitement. So it's that attractiveness to excitement that you couple it with your courage to go for the change that makes you move in a certain direction.
You focus on excitement, not on courage, not on something that is scary. Yeah. And then you learned about ISPs, yeah?
Yeah, so when I was in Athens with CCC, I got to kind of learn about the actual internet. It wasn't the internet, it was kind of a intranet, or maybe it was America Online at that time. But the concept of sending an email and receiving it at the same time electronically, like, wow, that's big. Or chatting with someone and seeing something over there. So that was a big thing. But then I also realized being an IT person, graduating as an engineer and working for a construction company in the IT department, I realized that, that's not going to open so much doors for me. I'm going to be in a support function. So it's kind of not what I want to build for myself as a career. It's exciting, I enjoyed it, etc. But I thought I need to go back home and be in something much more core to my education. At that time I was, graduated as an engineer in IT. I was super excited about that. That's one thing. The other thing is that the internet was kind of something that started to kind of get into my head. This is going to be big. I wanted to be in that part.
Internet part.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people today in today's world that are not satisfied with what they do. They're not satisfied with the company. They are not satisfied with their bosses, but they still stick to that company. What happened with you? Like said, okay, guys, this is nice, but I want to.
Great
change.
question. Like, frankly, when you're like 21 at the very beginning of your career, right? If you want to think about stability and that's a company, I'm getting my salary at the end of the month or something, you will not reach much. Frankly, what my thinking was, how can I build a profile? How can I build something that for myself that I can grow with it rather than what am I making today? It's like the excitement of what I'm doing, contributing to something in my career, as well as building a profile for myself, right? Like experience, expertise, profile that will serve me in the long term.
But you have to have a confidence to do that, because people are always, maybe, I'm not saying everyone, but people are hiding behind the big teams, big corporations. Okay, maybe if I try this, I'll be alone. And it is, entrepreneurship is a lonely business, and in general, if you want to stick out, you will be lonely.
I agree with you.
Very lonely.
I agree with you. It requires like this kind of thinking, this kind of courage. It's about choices for people. Some people might decide, you know what, I want to live a kind of calm life, career, where you're probably in a big company, you're not core to the business, but you're doing your job and you're growing probably slowly.
Part of the system.
Part of the system. That's the right word, right? But like, to me, 20 years old, excited about what I studied, and believing in myself. You have to believe in yourself, right? As a young person still looking into a lot of things to do in life. It was very clear to me. If I was a construction engineer in a construction company, that's great. But an IT person in a construction company, my thinking was that I'm going to be a support function. I'd like to be at the core of the business I'm doing, right? So that was my thinking at that time. I'm not going to go far in terms of my skills and expertise, and I was excited about what I studied, right? Like in engineering, computer communications, like telecom, that part of. So that was very clear in my head.
And then you came back to Lebanon?
Came back to Lebanon. I didn't have anything at that time, but like I had the thinking, right? It
has to be something with internet.
Yes, exactly. And then I had the opportunity to join a team which was still in the very early thinking, an entrepreneurial team, very early in their thinking that they want to set up an ISP. At that time, internet was nearly non-existent in Lebanon. Probably there was one company by that time that was in its very early starts or something like that. And we were one of the very, very first internet service providers at that time. So I joined that team, and we wanted to kind of launch an internet service provider. So everything that we did was a lot of learning, right? the web and setting the web servers, the chat, the email, the billing system, then the real-time billing, then the cyber credits to kind of for people to fill their the prepaid credits. Everything, all of that was new, right? It didn't exist at that time. So it was like at the core of my studies, my excitement of what I want to do, and the internet being something super new, super innovative.
Okay, so one of the things that people tend to overthink is perfection. And you just said you were learning on the go about emails, about billing, about the things.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what would your advice be for the people that want to change, but they think that they are not up to the tasks that they have?
No, like people, like anyone should believe in herself or himself if they are up for a change, right? That's the first thing. You need to believe in yourself, in your capability. You don't have to know it, but you need to be very kind of confident that you can learn. I think that's what's needed.
So we agreed, confidence, and so you started an ISP. You were among the founders of the ISP company.
Yeah.
And then
that was Siberia, by the way, the name of the
Siberia, like not Siberia in Russia, but with the C.
Yeah, Siberia from cyber. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then from some, let's say, construction, then ISP, then what's the next step?
So I did a number of steps in the space of the internet before I took my major next step. I had couple of also changes. One, like, at that time, starting Siberia and an ISP at that point in time, it was booming in terms of people getting on the internet, subscribers, people hearing about the internet for the first time, investors kind of looking at this as a business opportunity. So I was approached by an investor who wanted to start his own internet service provider, and I was approached to build the whole setup for him. So that was my immediate next change. Like, from being part of a team, I had now to take the responsibility
and manage.
Take the responsibility of setting up all the infrastructure and ready an ISP from zero. So that was, again, a challenge for me. I was part of a team. There were some people doing this, other people doing that. I was doing my part. Now I had to set it all together myself. So that was, if you want, the challenge that got me excited about taking that step.
And was that successful?
Yes, like I would label it successful from the aspect of learning. At that point in time, the key thing in you building your career is that you're developing, you're learning, you're progressing in terms of your profile, right? So I joined the investor, and I managed to set up the full infrastructure from network, dial-up modems to the billing system. I worked with contractors to develop the whole billing system, etc., all of it. And frankly, from a setup perspective, yes, we launched and we started getting subscribers, and like the business was running, making revenues, all of that. But at one point in time, I also realized that the exciting part ended. I had a feeling that venture is not going to grow a lot, and it's kind of size-wise. Appetite for investment, probably, I didn't feel that it was there to kind of grow it at the pace that I wanted to grow at that time. Again, I was still a young professional, just starting in his career. So I got an offer from a third ISP.
Oh.
Yeah, a third ISP, and now they had an existing team, but they wanted to kind of re-transform the way they do things. I had all the experience now of setting things end to end with all the ins and outs of how to optimize and how to get innovative towards the consumer, etc. So I got approached, And I took that challenge. Now the challenge was different. I had to come and manage an existing team. So see the difference? I was part of a team. Second one, I had to do things myself on my own. This third challenge, now I had to come in as head of technology and manage an existing team and transform the way the ISP
What was the hardest one? Maybe second one?
Second, like each one has its challenges. The second one was hard, like, for sure, from the perspective of you don't have anyone to count on. You have to do it. You don't have anyone even to ask a question. You have to read. You have to go to forums and read and solve it yourself, right? And again, there weren't many professionals in this field locally.
Of course,
so you can't ask many people. You had to figure your way out in terms of how to solve most of your situation. The third one, the challenge is that you're coming in younger than people probably in the organization, and you have to come as a manager on an existing team. That was the new thing that I learned in that kind of job. I liked each and every experience that I had. Like each and every experience, I believe, I gained from every experience in a different way. I had another two years with Intracom, the third ISP. So in total, they were like 5 years with the startups.
ISP providers.
Yes, internet service provider. The internet access as well as internet applications that we were launching. I remember at that time with Intracom, we launched remember that was 1998, right? We launched an interesting application which was about songs. We branded it Songies at that time. So you get, it was on the web. You get to the web, you select a song, and you put it mobile person of an individual, and then it calls him automatically, and he starts hearing the song.
I remember that.
And then he hears a message from you, so a personal message along with a song. Happy birthday maybe, or I love you, or with a song or something like that.
So innovative services.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that was your era of ISPs.
Innovation and ISPs and startups world.
And then what was the next step in your career?
Yeah, so then came the next big step, I would say. These are minor steps.
I would say.
So the year 2000, the internet was facing difficult times, the dot-com bomb at that time, if you remember. And back in the Middle East and in Lebanon in particular, one of the big challenges was to monetize whatever you were doing, right? Internet access was starting to be very competitive. You can't generate really profit from internet access business. But then all this innovation that we were coming up with, you had to monetize it. And monetization required payments, and payments didn't exist at that time. Like you rely only on your prepaid cards, which logistically to distribute was a big thing. Credit cards weren't yet penetrated, so really ability to make solid business was very difficult, and we were facing financial challenges at that time. I then also was in the mindset that 5 years in technology, I wanted to do more on the business side of things. Now, I wanted to get into the business side, commercial and business, rather than being the technology person, because in these 5 years, I was the technology person, right?
So I know that you were technology person in construction company, but it is different business, construction.
Yes.
Then you were in ISP's tech person, manager, and now you wanted to solely be in a business and management area.
I was seeing that if I wanna kind of, again, the vision of growing my profile, right? I was in the mindset that I have to get into business. And at that time, I was doing my master's in engineering management in the American University of Beirut also. I was doing it part-time next to all the jobs. So I had that thinking that I need to get into the business side of things. So I had the opportunity of joining, at that time, Booz Allen Hamilton Management Consulting. So that was a big shift to me, coming from technology into management strategy and management consulting. So I joined at that time. We were called Booz Allen Hamilton. Then at a later stage, the company rebranded as Booz and Company. But like I had a long career in consulting. Again, it shaped me as a professional. I had like 10 to 12 years in consulting. It shaped me as a professional. I learned a lot and I did a lot as well. But like that shift was a big change from technology into consulting. I had to learn a lot.
Of course.
Yeah.
And in this 10 to 12 years, you were not that involved in technology part, but in management of technology parts.
Exactly.
How much the experience that you gained before in technology helped? Because technology is changing and everything,
yes.
But did it help?
It did, for sure. Coming from with the technology background helped, because I was focusing throughout my 80 to 90% of my career with Booz. I was focusing on technology sectors, telecom technology, digital. Like that was the sectors that I was focusing on. But my angle is not like the coding and the development and the core technology. My angle is the business side of things on these sectors.
How to use technology as a tool to solve problems.
Like how to grow the business, go-to-market approaches, corporate strategies, like the business side, the commercial and business side of things.
That was a kind of an award for your commitment to change and commitment to learn all the time. And after that consulting or consultancy years with Booz & Allen, I would say that came really nice compliment to what you did all the way from school, construction, ISPs and consultancy. You were hired by the biggest company in the world, definitely the biggest in technology world. And that itself, I would say, it's kind of a reward for all the efforts that you put in your personal development and business development.
Yeah, it's a continuum, right? Like it's you're learning in as you building your career, you're gaining, you're learning. You need to keep on thinking this way. Like every single year, am I repeating or am I learning? I think that's the question that continually I've been asking myself every single year in my career. Is it a repetition of last year, or is it I'm learning new things, I'm growing, I'm advancing in the way at least I perceive myself, let alone how people perceive you. First of all, yes. I think most important is how you perceive yourself. Are you convinced that what you're doing, you're building and advancing?
Was it the big change, you going to Google, starting working with Google, or you saw it as a normal what was the job description there in Google? It was fully different, I would say.
Yeah. Again, that was a huge change in itself. So after like 12 years in consulting, I went through all the ladders of the consulting career. Yeah. I did my MBA also in parallel, and like a lot of things. 12 years, you do a lot. But then I also reached a stage where I was thinking I want to move on from consulting. I don't want to continue all the rest of my career in consulting. I learned a lot. I was shaped, like I always say that, like the 12 years with Booz shaped me as a professional, right? But I was convinced that I wanted to do something else. It's not like the rest of my career is going to be consulting. And technology is always digital, is always my passion, right? I was looking for, okay, what's next for me? And when the Google opportunity came, like it was a no-brainer for me. Wow, that's Google, right? The function was very different than anything that I've done.
What is that?
Yeah, it was the marketing function of Google. So like I was never a marketeer, right? That's reality, that's real. But I had the skills in terms of what it needs to do, in terms of what is needed, at least what Google saw and what I saw in what the role is. So it was another, I would say, big shift.
Or the change.
Or the change, and in terms of my career track. I had to learn a lot also. It was super exciting. You do a lot with Google, like very dynamic, lots of different things that you can do. And exciting stuff, like stuff that you really enjoy, like working with Google products, right?
And one of the biggest challenges of the time was to bring up the usage of YouTube and Hangouts and other products of Google.
Yeah, I was responsible for activating Google products in the region, right? And activation means like really finding the right opportunities in the region where you can position Google products in the right way to create value around them, value to the consumers, value to the partners, and value to Google's products.
Okay, because we talk about a lot about video, and this podcast is not only audio, it's also video.
Yeah.
But at that time, what was the year then?
2012.
2012.
Yes.
How was that time for digital video? We see today that everybody's looking to do any kind of video, small videos, big videos, media, all the time. Or this pyramid from Google Hero Hub Help or Hero Hub Hygiene it was invented by that time. So it was implemented at that time. How did you see the opportunity and how Google saw the opportunity in video at that time, 2012?
So now I'm speaking to the expert of videos and I have to comment.
I'm just passionate about it. Thank you.
Yeah. Like YouTube was big for sure. Like usage of YouTube was big, and the belief in terms of the potential of YouTube like was huge, right? But to make YouTube even more and more relevant to the region, you need to have content coming out of the region, right? Like relevant content production, Arabic language, for example, content, all of that. So we were working in a lot of product partnerships or product positioning to create kind of this kind of content. I remember at that time I did a partnership with Al Hilal Club. We did a partnership with Al Hilal Club to generate content in relation to engaging their fans, their audiences and fans with their management and their players. And so we would help them set up live broadcasts of questions and answers, or live on YouTube, I mean, Q&A between the fans and the leadership of the club, live broadcasts of their training, so original content in relation to the club themselves, and lots of other examples in this regard. So to your back to your question, like the vision that video is going to be huge was already there. Probably at that time it was big in usage, but monetization wasn't there yet. Later on, Google monetized all that YouTube.
There were pioneering steps in multi-channel networks that came across the region, which was U-Turn or Telfaz.
Yes,
they were the big steps, I would say, for the region.
Indeed, they were at that time.
Yeah, they were creating all Arabic content, but now we see, thanks to YouTube, a lot of people still see YouTube as the biggest resource or the place where they should put their videos. So just maybe small advice to people and the companies. How did you approach the companies to use video more in their communication? Was there also, you mentioned the football club, that's a sports company, let's call it, but maybe governments or so on. What was the what were the topics and what were how did you persuade them to do more video?
I think video, if you want to communicate, right? Video adds a lot of value, especially when you have both sides on the same video. I always give this example, right? If even think of the work environment, right? Even in the work environment, if you are face to face, there's a great value in collaboration, right? Take it to a phone call. Yeah, there is collaboration, but you're losing a lot. Bring video, right? It's not face to face, but it adds a lot of value over voice communication only, right? Picture and voice together. So video delivers messages big time, all right, to your audiences, to your consumers, so I don't think there was a challenge in convincing in video. It's creating this engagement around you and your audience, your target. What do you want to achieve, right? You want to engage the users. You have the tools, you have the technology, you have the Google products that enable you to do that. Why not use it? It required building some education in the market, right? Building some awareness, but the value was there. I think the value of the product is very clear, but what you needed to create is awareness that you can use this product this way, you can use this product that way, right? And it helps you deliver the message. So that was the key thing.
Yeah, I think that you were kind of lucky to work in this region and video, because Saudi Arabia was by far, and maybe still now, the country with the greatest video consumption per capita in the world.
It was at that time, I think, in terms of very, very popular video consumption in Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask you so many questions about video, but there is
I'm not the expert in video by any means.
You were not expert in anything, and then you end up working as a managing director in Google, can you okay, because I want to talk about change also, not only about the video, but when it comes to the change, we learned, I think, from you a lot, and but you were learning on the go, and when you change those positions, when your designations or even industries, it's everything connected to digital, but when you change it, do you okay, I don't want to work here anymore, quit, then 6 months do nothing, and then 6 months finding a job, and then in some time you are waiting and you are finding the right opportunity, right time to do so?
No, I think you need to do your job as if you are staying in your job forever, but at the same time look for new opportunities, right? As if you want to change tomorrow. I think you need to combine this kind of thing. You have to remain focused and delivering your best in terms of what you are doing, as if you're going to remain in this job forever, right? You have to give it your best. That's how you keep on advancing. But if you also have the passion and the interest in changing, you have to also look for new stuff that fits where there is a fit, right? Yeah. Change doesn't happen if there's no fit. The fit has to be both ways. It's not just you like this. They have to like you to be able to do these career shifts, right? And you need to kind of be creative about how to make this match, especially if you're looking for a change. If you're looking for the same kind
direction change.
Yeah. If you're let's say I was doing consulting and I wanted to move to another consulting company, that's kind of straightforward, right?
Yeah.
That's how people usually look into it. That's how, if you're approached by a recruiter, that's how recruiters typically look for it. Consulting, I give you an offer of a consultant career. Marketeer, I give you an offer as a marketing career. But if you want to make these shifts, I think you need to think of it, how can I match my interest with the interest of my target destination, right? And position and clarify that to whoever is talking to me.
No, that's 100%. but there is more changes to come in your life after Google.
Yes.
So you were in marketing and activation, as you said, of the products of Google. And then after that, you went to fintech.
Yes.
You mentioned early in our conversation, you mentioned that there was a problem with payments on internet before, and you had to use some prepaid cards, and it was difficult.
Yeah.
But now, after Google, you came to the company which is on the top.
Exactly. Like that connects back to the challenges
when it comes to the payments. So next challenge, indeed. The next change was Visa.
Yeah, that was another big change. Frankly, like when I look into things backward, I feel the change from consulting to Google was bigger from the change from Google to Visa. That's how when I look backwards, that's how I see them. But still, it was a big change. So I had that opportunity to join Visa, and the common denominator, if you want, was my depth in digital. Like, I know digital very well. I know how the digital consumer thing, the mindset of the digital consumer. And Visa was in a stage setting up their CEMEA hub, Central Europe, Middle East, and Africa hub. And there was that position of leading the digital team with Visa. And digital for Visa, meaning being able to offer all the products, developing and offering digital products like everything other than the traditional or the credit, debit, and prepaid kind of payments. So think of digital commerce, e-commerce, think of mobile payments, think of personal payments, etc. So like everything beyond the typical of how traditionally people knew Visa at that time. Yeah. So and that time, like, it was again, if we look at the mega scheme, where's the industry heading, at least in the region, in the Middle East. First, you got digital and the internet and the application and all of that, and then it started like lots of entertainment and stuff over the internet, video and entertainment and all of that. But then, like, you got into a stage of businesses over the internet, e-commerce and doing business and making money, receiving payments and all of that. So it was like the year 2014 when I joined Visa. I think, like, I was looking at it like this whole kind of side of the industry is going to boom. It's going to be huge. Digital payments is the next big thing. So I was super excited about that opportunity. And my experience about the consumer part was very helpful, because Visa is B2B, but like B2B is not enough. You need to be B2B2C. How does the digital consumer think? Like, what are the products that are fit for this kind of consumer, and how do you position the products with the consumer? Always thinking B2B, yes, but B2B to C, to that aspect. Yeah. I didn't have banking experience. I didn't have payments experience, but I had my skills that I brought with me as a professional.
Maybe even because of that, you know that they say that usually it's not the people from the industry that brings the biggest change. The people who are not constrained with the rules and regulations and dogmas of the industry. This is why companies like to hire people without specific experience from that area.
Absolutely. Sometimes even for companies, it's the right thing. It's a new perspective. You're bringing in someone with new perspective on things, and you're very right in this. Yeah, so that's how I started with Visa. But then, like, I became the go-to person in terms of expertise when it comes to digital payments. You learn on the job, and that's that's the biggest learning, the biggest way that you can learn from, like, on the job learning, right? And being in the midst of it, and to your point, with Visa, like the payments company, And I was like very much close to many teams in Visa that I had to learn a lot from, whether the global teams or even the other regions. So contrary to the days of when I started alone as in an ISP, in Visa, I had the opportunity to learn with so many people right around me. Like it's a huge organization. You get to learn a lot, and I made the maximum out of that opportunity to learn.
Okay, so we agreed that not to go in your next change.
Yeah.
But it will be something like it. But as we say usually here in Dubai, same but different. So I would really like to catch up in some time to see about your newest change.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can maybe tell us just a little bit about it, or to keep it a secret.
No, it's not about a secret. You know, I had around 7 years with Visa, great experience. I just left Visa a very few months ago. Great experiences, great learnings, great excitement, great product launches in the region, and like great results. The next change has to be exciting as well, right? Like the excitement has to be there. So it has to link to my previous experiences, right? Now that's very vague because I had so many previous experiences.
Yeah.
But it has to link obviously to my previous experience, and I'm looking forward to the next chapter. You know, life is about writing chapters in your in life in general, in your book of life. So I'm very excited about what's coming next for me. We'll leave it to a second separate episode.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's catch up. But it was definitely a huge pleasure having you in the Change Officer podcast, and I think you proved the name of this podcast strongly. You know, like how it is to change, why change, the courage, the self-confidence, and always changing, always learning. I think that could be a good conclusion, and we leave it as on a cliffhanger, just as the Netflix series, you know, like we leave it on a cliffhanger for next series and next episode, where you will tell us what new challenges did you bring to your life.
Hopefully.
Hadi, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ivan.
We know both that for organizing this show was really a good challenge for both of us, but at the end we managed it, and I really think we have amazing episode, inspiring for our viewers.
I hope so.
And I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me, Ivan. My pleasure.
Thank you, Hadi.
Thanks.